up, Arrowheads, and welcome to the Arrow Recap Show here on Collider Video. My name is Ann Campea, and I'm so happy to be back talking about Season 4, Episode 21, Monument Point. Now, before we get started, allow me to introduce you to my recap regulars, starting with Josh Macuga.
And last week we missed you terribly. Almost as much as the people that got... Never mind. I'm not going to go. That's a little dark. Never mind. We'll go.
Oh, jeez. And Michael Medina.
Yeah, that was... it's too soon, bro.
Too soon.
It's still happening. And Jason Inman.
And I'm glad that you're back because even though you got stuck in an underground city and fought a weird guy with a long bow staff, you still found your way back to us. Cheers.
I know. Thank you. I'm sure David did a good job, right?
Yeah, absolutely. The Griff.
Yeah.
He's a great dude.
The Griff.
So let's talk about Monument Point, though, because that is the name of the town that I just mentioned to Josh that did not get blown up by a nuclear bomb tonight. Let's
Spoiler
talk about
alert.
Spoilers.
Starting with the beginning.
No, we don't have that. No.
Let's talk about our overall impressions of tonight's episode. For me, I'm going to start just because I missed last week and say that I totally loved last week's episode and it was on such a high from last week's episode that going into tonight's episode, I was like, yes, this is going to be amazing.
Finally.
And then it kind of pitter-pattered through the whole episode. The pacing was off. The story was told very combobulated. I don't even know. Like, it was just so odd to me. So overall impressions, okay, but not as good as last week. What about you, Michael?
And I'm with you 100%. I loved last week. One of the things I loved about last week, and I brought this up last week in our recap, was I loved the tension that they created. It was very reminiscent of Season 2 for me. This episode, I felt like they tried to recapture that. Didn't do a great job. It wasn't a bad episode. For me, it wasn't very memorable either. It felt a little cookie cutter at times. And you're right. It was a little all over the place. At times, it was a little hard to follow.
Yeah. Jason?
I agree. I thought the first two acts of this show were really good. And I was excited as well because I was like, okay, man, we're going into this streak of like, we're going to have like 3 to 4 solid episodes. This is awesome. And then about the time that the countdown clock started, and every time we cut to the scene, they had less and less time until like in the last 2 acts, they had like less than 20 minutes to do anything. And it just goes to show you that Arrow is a show that should not deal with the end of the world. Arrow is a show that should be street level, dealing with a guy fighting the enemy with his fists, not nuclear missiles.
Yeah.
You can't punch a nuclear missile. I've tried, doesn't work.
Jason has punched nuclear missiles. Is there anything you learned tonight on the Arrow Recap Show? It's that Inman has tried to punch nuclear missiles.
Doesn't work.
I feel like I'm going to Frank Costanza this in the Festivus episode. I'm going to air my grievances. I got a lot of problems with this episode. I'm going to tell you people about them.
Okay.
But we'll go into that in my
Oh, okay. I thought you were just...
I was getting
skip ahead.
No, it just felt like this episode was really, like you said, really just thrown together. Like every plot line was just like really rushed, and then it just ended, right? Like, oh, we got the nuclear missiles coming. The countdown's here. Oh, we got. How did Anarchy even make it into the bubble? Nobody even knows how he made it into the bubble.
He found the secret tunnel that was underneath City Hall, apparently.
Yeah, and then they're like, well, City Hall seems like a good place for Dark to be. Better look at that ladder. Oh. It wasn't even like a secret
We found Damien Darhk's secret lair.
And then if one more smoke woman, I'm talking about Felicity and her mother,
geez.
if they start yelling at their men for protecting their loved ones in like certain and lying, my husband's a liar, my boyfriend Beyonce's a liar. They lied for good reasons. It wasn't like they were lying to cover up some crazy thing that's going to ruin their lives. The daughter was Black Canary, and Oliver wanted to save his son. Pretty decent reasons to lie.
I will stop you a little bit right there because you did say both Smoke women, and I agree. Donna Smoke making Lance sign that piece of paper to give away his badge, I thought was a little ridiculous.
Yes.
No, he should get his badge back. But Felicity tonight, I thought hacking into Palmer Tech, hacking against the missiles with her dad, was season 1, season 2 Felicity that we haven't seen in a long time.
I'm not disagreeing with you on that one. I'm just saying the lying factor of the Smoke women.
Her mom was not great in this episode.
No.
Yeah.
There was a lot of, to Jason's point, there was a lot of good daddy-daughter moments in this episode, to say the least. We had Malcolm working with Thea, trying to take Anarchy down, and then we had, obviously, Felicity with Noah trying to hack the Rubicon system. So that was cool. I did enjoy that very much.
Yeah.
They had the best storyline of the episode for sure.
Yeah. Oh,
Felicity.
totally.
And, although her dad did say like a few too many times for me, like, I know I'm a bad father. But I love
I know I'm trying to steal from you, but it's okay.
A little too much for me.
I
I was like,
that.
I get
left
it.
you when
I
you were a
get it.
kid, but I'm here now, which matters because nuclear missiles.
All the dads of the year, it's like, are in this in Arrow. Like even Oliver's not the best father in the world, but they're all in this show. Let's talk about some positives though before we do get into a lot of the negatives that.
Well, Felicity
Josh
was a
pointed out.
positive. Felicity
Yeah,
and Dad,
definitely.
definite positive.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think Brick being in this episode, I
Vinnie
do
Jones.
love Vinnie
Vinnie
Jones.
Jones.
I was just
Yes.
about to bring that up. I love Brick so much. He's a great villain in the comic books. Vinnie Jones is perfect casting for this character. I loved it when he took over the city last year when they thought Oliver was dead. I've always thought that Brick could almost be an entire season big bad. And I kind of wonder when you have an actor like Vinnie Jones, why haven't.
not?
Why not? Why didn't you make him the big bad?
Agreed.
I get the idea that you're like, oh, Oliver should fight superpower people, but have Brick hire the metas, and he's the kingpin on top to steal from another company.
You could have had more Brick in this episode because we didn't get that much Damien Darhk. So why not feature Brick heavily? That was one of my biggest issues. Those are my things I loved about this episode, and one of the things I didn't like about the episode. We didn't get enough Brick. You know?
Yeah, I'm with you on that one. I really like. Not only do I like Vinnie Jones, the actor, he's amazing roles, but there's like a certain level. He's got that mean face, and he is so violent just in looking that as a big bad on a show, like you said,
It's such an energy.
fists.
Yeah.
That's what Arrow should be, fists, right? And Vinnie Jones brings the fists.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. He's a formidable opponent for Arrow, I would think.
And speaking of fists, I thought Oliver had some amazing action scenes
Yep.
tonight.
Yeah.
We were talking about the kicks. Oliver had, the first time he faces off a Brick, he jumps up in the air, both of his knees right in Brick's chin, and takes him down to the floor. And then there's taking from Marvel, there was a scene where Oliver was in civilian gear and he jumped down the staircase and like kicked somebody right in the face again. And then at the end, he's doing all these twisty kicks.
Like
Yeah.
Black Widow.
The
in
action was
Civil War.
great.
Yeah.
That was actually what I loved the most about this episode. His feat of fury.
Yeah.
It was all over the place, and it was so fun to watch.
He did
Great
2 jump kick
choreography.
flips in a row.
Yeah. Into an
Some were a little
armbar.
unnecessary, but they
And an
looked
armbar.
great.
Yeah, but that's what set Arrow apart from the very beginning. These amazing like martial arts action scenes.
Well, to go back to what you said earlier, that's exactly what the show needs to be about. It's about fighting, like you said, street level, taking out crooks, and this is what I want to see. I want to see more of that.
Yeah, it's not Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., it's just
No.
Arrow.
Yeah.
And Diggle also in that fight scene in the forest was kind of moving like how, and if you haven't seen Batman versus Superman, it kind of reminded me of how Batman moved through that one scene where he's kind of fighting all of those soldiers in that room, but he kind of moved so gracefully in that scene too. Yeah, so the fighting action sequences were great. I will say the other thing I like as a positive is the consistency in the villain's motivation in Arrow. We see it with Ra's al Ghul, we see it with Malcolm, we see it with Dark. All of them just want to destroy
the
what they
world.
think is terrible and then
Cleanse.
start anew, right? So again, there's nothing new that we haven't seen in terms of that underlying motivation, and I do enjoy that consistency because Malcolm even said it, like, I was going to do that with the Glades. Dark's just going to do it just on a larger scale.
Yeah, and I appreciated that too because Diggle also got a knock at that too because he said very, very early on in the episode that he was like, "Oh, and I thought an earthquake machine was weird." You know? And I was like, "Oh, nice season 1 reference."
But see, now, that's one of the biggest gripes I have with this episode. Again, it's just like, I know last week we were talking about Genesis, and I was just like, well, they really didn't talk that much about it. Well, they did. But it's like, again, it was one of those things where, like, if that's it, if that's all we get, that is so incredibly lame.
Yeah.
If it's just another attempt at now we're going to blow up the world, it's so, like, cookie cutter, like, classic villain. We've seen it so many times. There's nothing original about it.
It might be
I
too
need more
much
than that.
and again, it might be too much for this show.
Yeah.
And
You
I
know?
appreciate that they're trying to see how far they can go with that ideology, you know, like from a city to the entire world. But like, I think we're all in agreement upon is that it might not work for Arrow.
No,
I don't think it works.
think it does. I really don't think it does.
Let me, basic question. The President of the United States, who was mentioned in this show,
Yes.
right, in this episode, this is like, oh, we'll just let a computer hacker in a cave in Central City figure out nuclear war. He's not going to get the government on it? Like, the whole government should be like, we got to stop this whole
Well,
thing.
no, the line was that Lila, and I'm going to paraphrase his word. He said that Lila said that the president asked her, "Are we leaving the fate of the world up to 2 computer hackers, a bunch of Argus soldiers, and 2 men in Halloween costumes, and that made Oliver go, "They're not Halloween costumes."
It's
And
still
that was that.
Oliver can't stop a nuclear missile.
But yeah, again, yeah.
Shouldn't they? I mean, if the computer hackers were looking to a way to get to the missiles, couldn't they call the U.S. government and be like, listen, there's a guy that's trying to unleash nuclear missiles. We need all the help we can get. The president says, here's every bit of technology the U.S. government has to stop these missiles.
Well, again, that's also the question of, you know how very early on in the countdown they were looking for the calculator, and it seems like they wasted like 12 hours looking for the calculator. Now, we don't know where in the timeline this takes place with the Flash, but 2 episodes ago we saw Barry with power. So I'm going to assume that going forward, we're past this week's episode where Barry got his powers back. Couldn't they have just been like, "Hey Barry, we know he's in Starling City everywhere. Can you search it in less than 5 minutes?"
Yes.
Go.
Well, see, go.
And that's the whole thing. You mentioned Marvel earlier when people talk about like the Avengers and you watch a show like Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., for example, and something big happens. Well, where the hell are the Avengers?
Yeah.
You know, it's the same thing with DC. It's like there are other people out there that are more than capable of helping this team out. Where are those guys? Again, it's a TV show. It's Arrow. You're not going to do that. And I get that. But it
But
does
again,
little
we
things
don't
like
have
that
to
kind of drive me
go
nuts.
World destruction
Yeah.
on Arrow. That's all. I mean, I'm with Jason.
That might have been cool as like a crossover event.
Sure.
It could have been really fun.
Sure.
Yeah.
You know?
But even taking it down to the granular level, something that bothered me was the fact that they couldn't even tell their loved ones what was going on. Like Felicity couldn't tell her mom. Like, I'm
Tell
sorry.
everybody, get out of the cities.
If that was what was happening, nuclear bombs were about to, hit everybody. Wouldn't you just want to say that? That's not a secret you would keep from somebody.
Agreed.
Here's a question. You mentioned Felicity's mom. How do you guys feel about the fact that Felicity's mom still doesn't know what's going on? Because we've seen how that's affected, Captain Lance. Now he's keeping that secret from her. Everyone, we've gone down this road so many different times.
There was an interesting scene in tonight's episode that I was actually going to bring up as a positive, and that was at the and it kind of fits into this. Felicity's dad and Green Arrow having this conversation about the dual identities. And like he kept making all these allusions and metaphors about like, "Oh, you sound like you know about a dual identity." He's like, "Yeah, it's not possible." And and to me it made sense that he knows that Oliver's the Green Arrow. Like to me it was like flat out obvious. And to me I kind of agree with you, like, yeah, they are stretching it that she doesn't know, but also from tonight's episode, and as much as the Green Arrow has been seen lately, is there anybody in Starling City that doesn't know that Oliver Queen, like
They're just really bad at
everybody in
the best
Damien
costume.
Darhk's staff knows, like that means Brick knows, like how do you get past this season without everybody in Starling City knowing that he's the Green Arrow?
I agree.
Yeah, it's a good question.
Are we over positives now and into negatives?
Sure.
Okay.
We haven't mixed them all
I
together.
mean, like,
Yeah,
I
they're
don't want
kinda
to be
mixed
Captain
up.
Negative here and saying like I hated this episode. There was just a lot of like glaring faults to me in it, and that's why I wanted to air my grievances. That's all.
No, this is a platform to do
Now,
that.
where's the poll?
Yeah. Got a lot of problems with you people. I'm gonna tell you about it.
I want to bring up the flashbacks because I don't know what
They
to
were
make of them
pointless?
at this
Oh.
point.
We
at
didn't
this
have them
point.
last week, which was awesome. I'm sorry, Ann, you weren't here for that
didn't.
episode.
Oh,
Didn't
darn
miss them.
it.
Didn't miss
Didn't miss
Darn.
them at all.
But then this episode, they were like less than a minute long.
we brought up that point. Each one of them was like maybe 30 seconds. Maybe 30 seconds.
And in the one, which was the final one, when Oliver is shooting the gun, the machine gun, and he's like backing up as he's shooting it like he's never shot a gun before.
Surprise the
Which the rest
fire.
of the episode in the flashbacks, he's been like a master marksman with
Yeah.
a machine gun.
Yep.
Did not equate for me. I just those flashbacks do us nothing other than to show us that like other people, if they hold the thingy, the whatever you were calling it, the idol,
The thingy.
the thingy, the head thing.
Well, I think
Can get it.
Let's, as an Arrow panel, let's confirm or disagree right now. Just like last season, the flashbacks waste of time.
Yes.
Yes or no?
Yes.
Yep.
Yes.
I agree.
We all agree.
That's what I'm checking my
Yeah.
phone.
Yeah.
There's just nothing going
You
on.
have 30 seconds to check your phone.
Yeah. At the beginning of the season, going back to Leanne Yu, I was excited.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, this could
was
be
promise
interesting.
there.
The Constantine one was good. But ever since then, it was like, fighting with a hillbilly, flirting with a Russian lady, stuck in a weird jail cell, and now
Yeah.
this. And you're just like, what is going on?
Yeah.
Unless this flashbacks, there's been like something leading up to the finale with the flashbacks, because last season nothing really was given to us via the flashbacks. That they're going to get something with the idol and Oliver knows what to do because he's been yellow-eyed before.
I don't know. Even that, for me, if they do
not
something in the
worth it?
final episode, won't save them.
Okay.
Yeah.
You can't do that for 22 episodes and only make one of the flashbacks work.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, to me,
That's
it's
2 seasons in a row now doing that.
Yeah, it's 2 seasons of flashbacks not working.
Yeah.
You know, so to me that says like, okay, next season either we see flashbacks once every 4 episodes, or let's just not see them at all.
You know, and I forgot who brought this up last week about the idea with the flashbacks dealing or just following different characters.
Me?
That was you.
Yeah,
Okay,
we
that
talked about it as
a cool
Lost.
idea.
Yeah. Let's each episode see like a different character, or let's see a flash forward.
Yeah, like just
You
switch
know.
it around a little bit. Try something different. I'm not against flashbacks, but just use them better.
I'm at the point right now that the only flashback I need to see is how did he hear the ship in the pilot right before he shot that arrow.
Yeah.
That's the only other flashback I need. I don't want to see any more.
Or how long it takes him to grow that sweet long hair and that sweet beard.
There you go. Yeah, because right now it just doesn't work on that timeline.
So we didn't like the flashbacks.
Yes.
That's what you guys are trying to tell me.
That's the hysterical question.
No.
Look, I think it's unfortunate because in season 1 and even in season 2, the flashbacks were integral to the story. I thought they
Yes.
flowed very well. The pacing was perfect. You got a lot out of the flashbacks, and I think what we're trying to tell the Arrow writers is that it's okay that you can go away without like not having the flashbacks next season. Like that's okay.
It's so crazy too because in season 1 the flashbacks were sometimes better than what was happening in the city.
Oh yeah.
You know.
And I think for some time when they started the show, I remember Stephen Amell saying, you know, at some point they wanted the flashbacks and current time to meet up, and that would inevitably be the end of Arrow, the series. But I think
They're taking hell of a long time.
what they're realizing is, oh crap, like current time is going so fast and so much is happening that you don't have enough to put in the flashbacks that makes sense for us to care about.
Yeah.
Like they're just trying to fill space at this point.
And like you said, in season 1, the flashbacks were an origin story, which I always love, especially when the origin story is done well. Once it got away from being an origin story and just a meandering cavalcade of errors, then it just got boring.
Well, I think to be honest with you, what happened to them is that they should have been simple.
Yeah.
And they're doing the same thing with the flashback that they're doing right now with Damien Darhk. That they're like, oh, Damien Darhk can launch nuclear missiles, shoot an arrow at those missiles. You can't do that.
Yeah.
On the island, it should have been like, okay, he goes to this one part of the island. He discovers that there are drug runners there, led by China White. That's from Arrow Year 1. You should go read it. And so the entire season is like, okay, I need to figure out how to get rid of these drug runners. He goes to another section of the island. Maybe he discovers some weird Chinese man who teaches him some new martial arts ability.
Ooh, like Dr.
there's
Strange.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just keep it very simple.
Yeah.
I think it should have been like, the island is so big that it takes me a long time to go see a new part of it, and each new section of the island I discover something new or something weird or something that the episodes are a metaphor or analogy for what he's facing. So in this episode, it should have been like, oh crap, I don't know how to deal with missiles because, and on the island, it's
Can we get
like
a meme of that? Can we get a Jason Inman?
And on the island, it's something like his martial arts master is like, okay, this is the tallest mountain on the island. And he's like, I've never climbed anything that high without a rope. And the martial arts master is like, we'll get to it.
And then he gets up there and he
gets
sees
up there.
something else.
Yeah, and he's like, "Oh, I can do this." So, and then we come back to the future day, and he's like, "Oh, I do have a plan to stop the missiles. It's with 2 arrows."
Right. I made these nuke arrows there.
Well, one of my biggest issues is they keep trying to team him up with others in these flashbacks. I would have preferred the flashbacks to have been the story of survival. It's just him, kind of like what you said. All these different stories. He meets these different people, drug runners, whoever, on the island. How he survived on this island by himself.
Yeah.
Where I feel like here they're trying to keep the flashbacks on par with what's currently happening, and it's just not working.
It can't work. It can't work. Yeah.
And if there's so much stuff, I always have a problem with this when, okay, in the movie Castaway, it makes sense. Nobody knows where that island is. It is remote. He's the only person on there, right? In Arrow, there seems like there's a crap ton of people on the
there's a lot going on
Oliver
there.
Queen is supposedly like this super rich billionaire. Like they couldn't have done some sort of find, like, oh, that seems like an island we should look at. It's a pretty big island. It's about you find Arrow.
Yeah.
And thingy.
Yeah, and thingy.
And thingy.
And thinking.
Any other negatives?
I think we all got to talk about how bad the dialogue was in this episode.
Sure.
Mommy?
Mommy.
Our Anarchy said the line. I wrote it around. He says these two really terrible lines. He says, "There's nothing hunky-dory about screwing up someone's plan for vengeance."
Yeah. Which was
'Cause
also
all the kids are using.
that was
using
also
That's
in an
literally
episode
his
of I
line.
Love Lucy.
Yep. And then he says, "I'm liberating you, mommy."
Yeah.
What the hell?
Oh, and then that line about her being a queen. Like,
Yeah.
we didn't
And then he
even-
says to
Yeah.
her, "Get it?
Get
Oh,
it?
you're-
Wink, wink.
And you're like, what?
I know.
The mommy thing was weird, but I have to assume that there's a reason for that mommy line. Like, I don't know what the hell that means.
What's your reason?
Yeah, let's hear, well, let's hear it, Medina.
I was hoping you guys
Yeah,
would tell me.
Yeah, I got the whole thing. What are you talking? Come on, Medina, give us something.
Listen, I gave you the theory of how Oliver Queen can beat nuclear missiles. Two arrows.
Two
I
arrows.
want to hear your explanation from mommy.
Yeah.
He's crazy.
There
And he's
you
poorly
go.
written.
It's that
How about
easy.
that?
They,
That's it right there.
back in the day when they were dating, he used to call her mommy in bed, and there you go.
Ooh.
Nice.
Did they date?
No, well, I thought Malcolm said that they were like boyfriends.
Yeah,
He was like-
because he was like obsessed with Thea, I think,
Ah,
or something
okay.
like that,
All
if
right.
I remember correctly.
What did you think about that line, Anne?
Which one?
The mommy line.
I don't know. I
Yeah.
was trying to remember the episode he was in before,
one?
if he was using it in some way, but I can't remember.
some callback. I'm sure somebody in
Yeah.
the YouTube comments is going to tell us he used to
Yeah.
say mommy all the time.
Yeah, or
Thank you if you did it.
Thank you.
We just didn't remember.
Yeah. Another thing, you guys, is Tim Tebow dead?
Yeah, is
Was
he
he dead?
dead?
Couldn't know.
No, because we saw him in. Didn't we see him in the next episode?
Was he
In the
alive?
trailer for
I
the
have
next
no
episode?
idea.
didn't see
I do know this, that Thea doesn't know how to feel somebody's pulse. I do know that.
She's like, is he alive?
No, yeah, she was just like,
I don't feel anything.
Thea and her boyfriends. It's
Yeah.
just craziness.
She just can't find love.
yeah.
Poor Thea.
There's another thing, and I would love to hear from everybody on this. So Felicity deflects the missile, and it blows up the town of Haven Rock.
Yeah.
And they said like 10,000 people died instead of like millions. But Felicity's murdered a bunch of people, even though accidentally.
Yeah.
It's still murder.
Yeah.
What do we? I think this
There's
is a
gotta-
big change. I don't know if that character can get past that. That's a pretty big
You know,
move.
it is. And I agree, it should be really difficult for her. But then we saw what happened when she was paralyzed. And like an episode later, like, I'm cool.
Yeah.
I'm good.
So you're saying all Curtis has to do is invent a chip that makes you not think about nuclear holocaust.
and you're good.
Got it.
Nailed it. Yep, that's the one. I just think that she was trying her best, guys, and she really just tried
She
to
gets an
stop
A
those
for effort.
nukes. And she really tried hard, but at the end of the day, she couldn't get it done. So, you go home,
Wow.
you have a
Yeah.
pizza. you have a
Please direct
pizza,
all your comments
and
to Josh Macuga.
No, she but here's the thing: is we never see any sort of consequence for the Arrow team.
Yeah.
She should be prosecuted for this. She should
Yes.
be brought up because
Yeah.
she said she could stop this, and 10,000 people died.
Well, and that's one thing that I actually it was a positive for me. I like that they actually went really dark with that.
Really?
Oh,
That's
yeah.
extremely dark, and that's something that I'd like to see that too. I'd like to see some form of repercussion. It's like, these guys are vigilantes. Regardless of whatever the president said, maybe he was okay with it, whatever. Still, they're responsible for the deaths of thousands, tens of thousands of people. There needs to be something for that. I'd like to see
Well, I
that.
do think with this thing, the town blowing up, I think this leads to the theory that I've been throwing out there a lot.
Team Arrow's gonna break up.
That this is Felicity's exit. Like, this will make Felicity be like, I'm done with superheroing because look, I came back, I did this, and I killed 10,000 people.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
And a lot of people have been tweeting at us and talking about how the Team Arrow in season 5 could look a lot different.
Yeah.
than
I think
it
it's just
does
going
right
to be
now.
Oliver and Curtis.
Yeah.
It's going to be Oliver and Curtis, and that's Team Arrow.
Interesting. I
Yeah.
wouldn't mind seeing a slimmed down Arrow squad.
I
And
wouldn't either.
I'm actually happy that the rift is not because they're fighting each other, like which we normally see, like Diggle's mad at
Yeah,
Felicity
it's
or
the
whatever, blah,
everyday
blah,
matter
blah.
of nuclear holocaust.
Like they all have their own reasons as to why, like, oh, this life is not for me anymore. Diggle with his baby being threatened and his wife being threatened, and just him having to kill his brother last week. That was pretty.
I think
Dark,
Thea leaves
too.
the crew because Malcolm Merlin keeps messing everything up,
Yep.
like showing up just to save Thea, and she just is like, listen, I'm not gonna be able to get Malcolm Merlin out of here unless I disappear, and she
Do
leaves.
you guys
to go
think
find
that
Colton.
Lila leaves Argus by the end of the season?
Not by the end of the season.
Not by the end of the season? Okay.
If she
No.
does, it's going to be probably next season.
Okay.
But I
don't
think she's
so.
going to get Diggle to leave because they need to raise a baby, and then it's going to be.
Do you think they split? Or do you think they'll
No,
stay
I
together?
think they stay together, but
Okay.
that he leaves Team Arrow.
All right.
Yeah,
Yeah, mentally he's just not there.
he's not there. He killed his brother. 10,000 people just died.
Yeah, I honestly could have done without that line that Lila was like, "Oh, well, it's, I don't know." It
The-
just
what-
it was
which
just
line?
so weird. Like,
When she said mommy?
no, that would have made it better. But she was like, "Oh, it's just this many people, not billions of people or whatever."
Oh, yeah.
Millions,
It would
yeah.
have
Oh,
been
it's
like,
just-
yeah.
Yeah, it's still a friggin' tragedy.
I know. All right, so let's go into our Twitter questions. If there's no other positives or negatives,
No.
We have a Twitter question.
Twitter question.
Question.
We have one Twitter question for this evening. We did get a few of them in there, but we kind of talked about them. So thank you guys for sending them in. This was the one we liked best. Do you believe that the Legends team will help the Arrow during the last finale? That comes from at Ike Dino, Laura Elms. What do you guys think?
Yes. I don't know.
Honestly,
No, maybe.
I don't think so. I wish this happens. I'd love it if it did, to tie it in. But honestly, I think it's just too late in the season at this point. We only have 2 more episodes left. I mean, that would make for like a crossover event, really. And with 2 episodes left, we know it's not going to happen next episode.
Yeah.
I don't see it.
Is Kevin Smith just doing a Flash? He's not doing an Arrow.
No,
right?
just a flash.
Okay.
Just a flash.
I don't think we're gonna get to see the Legends. I think they're too far off. I mean, I'd like to, but I don't think we will.
I think we see Ray.
Okay.
I think we see Ray Palmer in Arrow before the end of the season. I think Legends.
What, to save Felicity's job?
I think they're.
I could see that.
No. I don't know. I think. I don't know, because I was thinking about the missiles and stuff like that, and I was like, man, I just think like another missile's gonna launch, and then out of nowhere we're gonna see Ray, like Iron Man, push that missile or something like that. I just think, and he'll come out of nowhere because they'll be like, we thought you were lost in time, and he was like, oh, I just got back. Yeah. I think we'll see Legends end, and that will end before this season. I would love to see Katie Lott's Sarah, because I want to see the fallout of her finding out that Laurel's dead.
Oh,
because
right.
still in
Still
Legends,
doesn't know.
she doesn't know.
You're right.
Yeah.
She
Right.
doesn't know.
Yeah.
And I think that could be very powerful. I don't know whether they'll. I hope they don't save that because I want to see that now. But I do think we see Ray.
Okay.
I'm putting money we see Ray in that finale.
I can see Ray, and I think you're right about the whole saving the job, because that would make sense.
Yeah.
Katie Lutz, that would be such a great scene. But again, I think just such short time right now that's a whole episode in itself.
Yeah, but
You know?
look at how they've been blazing through everything else. Like we'll get
That's
get
true.
a scene with Ray, we'll get a scene with Katie Lotz, and that'll be it.
It's true.
So I'm still a little bit lost as to how they are going to defeat Dark. I mean, do we know that yet? Because that's the only reason why I feel like the Legends would come in, is that maybe it would just add to their arsenal. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't. I mean, I felt like we know how you have to beat them. It's by taking that idol.
Yeah.
But how do we get there? And is the flashback going
I
to tie into
have
that?
a prediction.
Oh, here we go.
I have a
let's hear
prediction.
it.
Guys,
Let's go
put
into
up
it.
that
Yep,
Inman graphic.
Sorry. I know I've been talking a lot this episode, and I apologize.
don't have that? Okay.
But I have a prediction, and I think this episode showed me, I think, how they're going to do it. So Damien Darhk gets his powers from death, right? Last episode, we saw Damien Darhk supposedly getting the power from Haven Rock, like he was really big, right? Okay, I think Damien Darhk is going to go cuckoo crazy from all this death, and he's going to be like, you know what? I'd be much more powerful if everyone else on Earth was dead and I was the only one around. So I'm going to kill everybody, not just the good people. I'm not going to save anybody. Screw that underground town. Everybody, because I'm evil. So my wife's going to go, Malcolm Merlin's going to go, Thea's going to go. And I think the next 2 episodes are going to be about Oliver turning the criminals like Brick, like Malcolm Merlin, to team up with him. And then he'll have to figure out, because what have we seen in that one episode?
Ooh.
If we think good thoughts, we can stop the evil men. And so he'll have to get all the people of Earth to think good thoughts and use their energy and stop them. That's what I think. That's what I seriously think it is.
Sounds like a
Hands
Disney
and-
movie.
It does. That's what I was
Think
thinking.
good thoughts,
yeah.
kids, and you'll
If
fly.
you believe
But
it,
But get ready for that scene where Oliver's standing here and Damien Darhk standing here, and you see the energies colliding. And then what they're gonna do is they're gonna zoom in into the smoke or whatever, and then they're gonna see inside their head spaces, and you're gonna see Damien Darhk and Oliver like doing a fist fight as a representation of that fight. I'm putting money on it right now. Watch when I'm right in 2 episodes.
If that happens, if that like exact thing happens, Jesus Christ!
What happens? What happens, Macuga? What happens?
I mean, I don't know what. I mean, I'll do. You guys think of a bet in Twitter? I don't know. But that is the most absurd. That's like the end of Harry Potter when you fight Voldemort with the same wand.
But you know what? That's more realistic than mole people.
Yeah. Hashtag it mole people, guys. Be alone.
I don't have anything that can top that. I'm sorry.
Yeah,
Does
that's
anyone
pretty
else
awesome.
have anything?
Inman just went off on a friggin' tangent, and now I'm
Yeah, but
seeing
I'm telling you, the setup for everything I said, we saw in tonight's episode.
And in
Yeah.
comes the
Yeah.
mother of dragons. All of our stuff.
Just want to see the corn. That's all.
Show us the corn.
I think we found out the corn doesn't matter.
I think
It
you're
really
right.
doesn't.
Yeah.
Well, I'm sad now. All right, I
Cornbread,
think
guys.
that's gonna do it for us this week. Before we just kind of just fall completely off the handle here, make
pretty
sure you
close.
guys continue to tweet us using the hashtag Collider Arrow with all of your crazy theories. Are they crazier than Jason's? Maybe not, but
Mine's real.
make sure you continue to tweet us hashtag Collider Arrow, as well as thumbs up this video, subscribe to Collider Video, and leave us a comment because we love to check those as well. So, Josh, Jason, whoever. Where can they follow you?
You guys can find me with my mole people friends because I like them. At Josh Macuga on Twitter and Instagram. Here every Monday on Collider TV Talk and my YouTube channel, The Josh Macuga Show.
And Michael?
Hey, I don't have any crazy predictions, and I don't have mole people. But you can still find me on Instagram at Mr. Michael Lexus14 and on Twitter at Mr. Michael Lexus. Also on Think Hero Pro with Dennis and David.
And Jason?
When they do that spiritual metaphorical fight that I just described, because believe me, they will do it. You can tweet me at Jawin, Jawiin, and please suggest to the writers of the show why I should write for them.
And you guys could follow me at Ann Campea on Instagram, Twitter, all that good stuff. And again, make sure you continue to tweet us, hashtag Collider Arrow, until next week's episode. We have 2 more left, you guys. And until then, hood up.
Or pop those collars.